The hospital lights flickered for the third time that night. Wyan stood at the nurse's station, exhausted, fingers numb from writing reports she wouldn't get paid for. Another night shift, another unpaid hour. Another bill waiting at home. She hadn't slept properly in days. Hermina leaned beside her, coffee in hand, eyes tired but alert. Mina, you look dead. Wyan, give me 2 more hours. I'll collapse after that. The emergency doors burst open without warning. Blood smeared across the white floor as 4 men in black suits entered, their movements controlled and sharp. Then he walked in behind them, tall, calm, bleeding from his side. No panic, no fear. The air inside the hospital shifted the moment he stepped in. Guard, doctor, now, Wyan is full. You'll have to wait. His eyes lifted slowly, dark and commanding, cutting her off without a word. Taehyung, then make space. They moved him into a private room. The hallway outside was sealed by his men. No staff allowed near. Inside, Wyan cut open his blood-soaked shirt and froze when she saw the wound, a clean gunshot. Professional. Wyan, you've been shot. Taehyung, I'm aware. She kept her hands steady even when her pulse wasn't. One wrong move and this man could bleed out or kill everyone in the room. Wyan, you need surgery. Immediately. Taehyung, you'll do it. She met his gaze without flinching. Something rare, something dangerous. Wyan, this is a hospital, not your territory. A slow, unreadable smile touched his lips. Taehyung, everything becomes my territory eventually. Outside, weapons waited. Inside, a broke doctor stood face to face with the most dangerous man she had ever met, unaware that saving his life would ruin hers. They prepped the operation room in silence. Machines beeped softly while Wyan scrubbed her hands, her mind running faster than her body. She had handled gunshot wounds before, but never with armed men watching every move she made. One mistake and this wouldn't end in a lawsuit, it would end in blood. Mina, Wyan, who are these people? Wyan, I don't know, and I don't want to know. Taehyung lay on the operating table, eyes half-lidded, watching her like he wasn't the one bleeding. Even weakened, his presence filled the room, heavy and suffocating. Taehyung, you're calm for someone surrounded by guns. Wyan, I don't have the luxury to panic. She worked quickly, precise, blocking out everything except the wound. Sweat formed at her temples as she removed the bullet, her hands steady despite the pressure pressing down on her chest. Guard, how long? Wyan, if you want him alive, stop distracting me. For a brief second, Taehyung smiled, not amused. Interested? This surgery stretched longer than expected. Blood loss was more than she liked, and insurance rules screamed in the back of her mind even though they meant nothing in this room. When she finally stitched the wound closed, her shoulders sagged with relief she didn't allow herself to show. Wyan, he'll live. Guard, good. Taehyung opened his eyes slowly, gaze locking onto hers before anyone else. Taehyung, what's your name, doctor? She hesitated, saying it felt dangerous. Wyan, he repeated it quietly, like committing it to memory. Taehyung, you saved my life. Wyan, I did my job. His eyes darkened, something shifting beneath the calm surface. Taehyung, no, you did more than that. She turned away, unaware that in that moment, she had just been claimed by the one man she should have run from. Taehyung refused to leave the private ward. Machines monitored his vitals, guards stood outside, and nurses came and went, but none of them were allowed to touch him. Every time someone approached, his eyes would lift, searching, disappointed. Nurse, sir, it's time for your medication. Taehyung, where is the doctor? The nurse hesitated. Nurse, Dr. Y, and is on another shift. I can, Taehyung. No, the word was calm, absolute. Minutes later, another doctor entered, clipboard in hand, clearly nervous under Taehyung's stare. Doctor, I'm here to check your wound. Taehyung, leave. Doctor, sir, hospital protocol, Taehyung. I said leave. The room emptied again. Outside, Wyden leaned against the wall, eyes burning from exhaustion. She had just finished a double shift, her feet aching, her head pounding. Her Mina stood beside her, arms crossed. Mina, he's been asking for you nonstop. Wyden, I'm not his personal doctor. Mina, tell him that he won't let anyone near him. Wyden exhaled sharply and pushed the door open. Taehyung's gaze snapped to her instantly, sharp despite the painkillers. Something in his expression eased the moment he saw her, like the world finally aligned. Wyden, you survived. The surgery was successful. Take your medicine and let someone else do their job. The room went silent. For the first time since she met him, Taehyung looked intrigued, not angry. Not offended, interested. Taehyung, you don't fear me. Wyden, I don't have the energy to fear anyone right now. She turned to leave. His voice stopped her. Taehyung, don't schedule anyone else. She faced him again, eyes tired, voice sharp. Wyden, you don't get to control my schedule. A slow smile curved his lips, not mocking. Possessive, Taehyung, I already do. She walked out without replying, unaware of the way his eyes followed her until the door closed. Outside, Taehyung leaned back against the pillows, heartbeat steady, mind restless for the first time in years. She didn't bend, she didn't beg, she didn't look at him like a god. And that was exactly why he wanted her. Under the dim hospital lights, Taehyung lay awake long after the monitors slowed into a steady rhythm. Painkillers dulled the wound, but not his mind. Her voice replayed again and again, sharp and exhausted, cutting deeper than the bullet ever did. I am overworked, underpaid, and running on 4 hours of sleep. The words clung to him, overworked, underpaid, doctors treated like machines. He stared at the ceiling, jaw tightening. People took from her time, energy, blood, and she gave it without complaint until him. Taehyung, people like me, the corner of his mouth twitched. Not guilt, recognition. He didn't like that the world touched what caught his attention. He pressed the call button. Within seconds, his right-hand man stepped inside, posture straight, eyes alert. Taehyung, bring me everything on Dr. Wyden, man, medical license only, or Taehyung, everything. His eyes paused, underpaid, overworked, 4 hours of sleep. He exhaled slowly. Taehyung, she lives like this. Man, yes, she takes extra shifts, covers for others, rarely takes breaks. Something dark settled in his chest, possessive, protective, quietly violent. Taehyung, who makes her work these hours, man, hospital administration. Insurance pressure, staff shortage. Taehyung closed the file. Taehyung, fix it. The man hesitated. Man, fix the hospital. Back in the private ward, Taehyung watched the door like he was waiting for something that belonged to him. She thought he saw her as a patient. She was wrong. He was already planning how to protect what he hadn't asked permission to want. In collapsed onto the worn couch of their small apartment, shoes kicked off, shoulders slumped. Mina followed, dropping her bag on the table, both of them looking like they had been chewed up by the day and spat back out. I got the reminder today. Government loan, Mina, again. Mina turned her head suddenly, eyes lighting up. Mina, oh, by the way, that MAFIA guy, what about him? Mina, he asked for you again today. Refused meds, refused checkups, only you. Rolled her eyes. Great. A criminal and a stalker. Exactly what I need, Mina grinned, clearly amused. Mina, come on, imagine it. He's loaded, like, bloody rich. Date him and boom loans gone. Rent paid, life sorted. Laughed, tired but genuine. Wow, so all my problems get fixed by dating a rich man, Mina, or marrying. Oh my God, only if it worked like that. One rich guy and my life becomes a miracle. They both laughed, shaking their heads at the absurdity. Outside the slightly open door, Jungkook's right hand stood still, phone in hand. He had heard every word. A slow smirk curved his lips as he turned away. Somewhere down the hall, his boss was already planning to become exactly that miracle.